What's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and these are my picks for the best deathcore albums of 2021 so far. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. First up, we have Humanity's Last Breath with Valde. Humanity's Last Breath is a Swedish band that has just been growing and growing in stature over its last few albums. I'll admit that I haven't been overly impressed with them over the years, even when it came to the critically acclaimed 2019 album Abyssal, but with Valde, they have finally managed to make a full-fledged fan out of me.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
This album sounds absolutely massive thanks to great production as well as some subtle touches of synth and chorals to really crank up the atmosphere. These little symphonic flourishes definitely take Humanity's Last Breath to new heights, taking their already heavy sound and just expanding it outwards in all directions. And of course, never at the sacrifice of pure riffage, still bringing that same punishing low-end djent tone. On this front, Humanity's Last Breath have also managed to really step up on delivering memorable earworm hooks, as with this fun, chuggy, syncopated groove from the track Tide. I went into this album with relatively low expectations, but as it turned out, my viewers were right in repeatedly requesting this album as I made plans for reviews in January. They have managed to make every second of this album count, and at a tier that far surpasses any of their previous output. Next we have To The Grave with Epilogue. To The Grave is a Sydney, Australia band that, despite still being pretty early in their life cycle, have crafted an absolute bruiser of an album.
Aye mate, what's a good word?
Epilogue is actually a combination of their debut full-length alongside several new tracks, making for a lengthy but highly rewarding runtime. As with another band on this list, To The Grave is easily elevated above the rest on the merits of its vocals alone, which are very diverse and absolutely maniacal in delivery. Dane Evans really runs his vocal cords through a gauntlet of highs, lows, belted barks, and even this particularly sickening gurgle from the single Pest Control. This really adds to the variation from track to track and leads to some endlessly memorable moments. But attention should be paid to the guitars as well, with some really mathy elements mixed in amidst the more chuggy breakdown riffs. I like how they take that extra time to throw in these little techie flourishes to elevate what could just be a throwaway mosh pit moment to something much more than that. My personal favorite track that is a must-listen this year is definitely Wreck, which played at the top and again does a great job of fusing mathcore elements into an absolutely catastrophic sound. But I'm also partial to Terrorist Threat, which demonstrates To The Grave's ability to utilize simple but highly effective little tricks to further cement a track in your brain. In this case, with this weird chirping brainwashing effect. Seriously, every time I listen to this album, it just gets better, and I am very excited to hear what these guys cook up in the future. Then we have Pest with Dark Arms Reach Skyward with Bone White Fingers. Pest is a solo technical deathcore and death metal project based out of Montreal, Quebec, with all instruments and vocals largely performed by the multi-talented April Hutchins. The songs here reference the Evangelion anime series and its connections to her own personal struggles that she was going through at the time. And I really think that it's that genuine emotional connection that is ultimately what got me hooked on this album in instantly. Quite often, technical death and deathcore can become very cold and detached, getting lost in its quest for the fastest and most mind-bending performances.
If you play more complicated voicings, your music will sound better.
But here, that still highly impressive songwriting is perfectly matched with a very real sense of feeling. And even if you don't really care about that though, Pest brings a veritable smorgasbord of styles to the table. The track listing here traverses the worlds of progressive, grindcore, and even some mathcore sounding riffs in a dizzying display of proficiency. Sometimes even within a few seconds of the same track as here with Nadira. Also expect a few impressively melodic moments to break up the brutality, and as is definitely a trend on this list, more high-profile guest appearances. In this case from Jason Evans of Ingested and Volvodyna's Duncan Bentley. At the end of the day, Dark Arms Reach Skyward with Bone White Fingers has not only been one of my favorite deathcore albums of 2021, but just also one of my favorite metal albums overall. Not only is every track a banger, it also stands as a testament of what is possible when one single individual fully dedicates themselves to their craft. What have you been doing with your time? Of course, we have to talk about Brand of Sacrifice and their new album Lifeblood. Brand of Sacrifice are a Toronto-based group that have been making waves with a series of critically acclaimed small releases, rapidly building up a loyal fanbase. This latest full-length is definitely the pinnacle of everything the band has been working towards up to this point, and for my money is easily the best deathcore release I've heard in 2021 so far. Just listen to those juicy grooves and try not to get caught up in it. Much like groups in the vein of Born of Osiris, Brand of Sacrifice very purposefully utilize intense, glossy, arguably overproduction, catchy synth melodies, and glitchy electronic effects to further complement their already impressive riffing. Speaking of which, these guys really do it all. Yeah, you get the big dumb hooks that are always fun and memorable in their own right, but also some really sick techie riffs a la Beneath the Massacre. And I really can't understate just how much the symphonic elements add either, with them often taking center stage for some truly jaw-dropping moments. I'm particularly fond of this choral break from the track Animal. Lifeblood even features a guest appearance from symphonic deathcore master Ben Dur of Shadow of Intent, as well as several others like Frankie Palmieri of Emir, Eric Vanlerberg of I Prevail, Tyler Shelton of Traitors, and my personal favorite Jamie Graham of Viscera. But even without these additional supports, Lifeblood stands firm all on its own from start to finish as an album that I frequently have trouble putting back down. And then I wanted to end this list out with the latest release here, Darko, with their self-titled album, Darko. Darko is a sort of supergroup duo featuring Emure drummer Josh Miller and Chelsea Grin and ex-Lorna Shore vocalist Tom Barber. I was actually recommended this album by a commenter, so thank you for that, because I am so glad this album fucking slaps. If you enjoyed the groove-heavy, glitchy approach of Brand of Sacrifice, then you are going to love Darko. The instrumentation is fast, ferocious, and also often very creepy in its atmosphere. Furthermore, the vocals are again fucking disgusting. I was already impressed just on a visceral level hearing Tom navigate seemingly every possible death growl variant, but watching vocal coach Mark Garrett of Kardashev comment on the track Insects made it clear that this guy really takes pride in his craft.
But with these highs,
The sky to the thunder, let go back and yeah.
I don't know the lyrics. We want to make sure that articulation is coming from our lips. Ow, ow, ow.
Darko also features some high-profile guest appearances from the likes of Once More, Shadow of Intense Ben Dur, and also Courtney LaPlante of Spiritbox. These names alone are likely to draw attention, but honestly, I gotta also hand it to these guys for all of the DIY marketing with a long lead-up of music videos to this release, including my personal favorite for Mars Attacks. Seriously, watch the rest of that video. But this slow buildup of hype ultimately resulted in the band selling out all of their initial merch before the album was even released. Well done, my dudes. And fortunately, the music ends up absolutely warranting that attention, so get out there and check out Darko right now. And y'all, that's it, but don't go anywhere. Check out my other reviews of deathcore albums that I did not include on this list, and also check out my other lists up right now. You can also chat with me on Discord and support on Patreon, but that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.